Hey, what's up? My name's Samuel Leeds. I'm a property investor and I am excited because serviced accommodation is opening back up on the 4th of July. Now, it's beginning to slowly happen already. People are taking bookings again, but the government have officially said that on the 4th of July, hotels, serviced apartments are going to be open back up for the public to book. What does that mean? Well, that means for a start, my prophecies are beginning to come true. It's very obvious. I mean, I said this a month ago. People were saying, oh, serviced accommodation's dried up. What are we going to do? What's happening? I said, listen, hold it out. Because very, very soon, they're going to open it back up. Of course, they're going to open it back up. Just like the rest of the economy, everything's been closed down. Everyone's been having difficulties and challenges and having to adapt. Hotels haven't been able to make money in business. So service accommodation is no different. But right now, with it opening back up, what's going to happen? Well, here's what I think is going to happen. This is my optimistic prediction, okay? Number one is the government are encouraging people to spend, and people have been locked down for months. I think people are gonna wanna travel. I really do. I think people are gonna be like, right, I don't wanna be in my house right now. I wanna go and stay somewhere. I wanna go and stay at a new house, a hotel. I wanna go and visit a new place, a new city. They're gonna wanna go and visit family and friends. And I think that it's gonna really begin bubbling up again. Another thing is this. So many people that had their properties on serviced accommodation, when lockdown came and they closed off bookings, they got scared and they got worried and they switched it back to a normal buy-to-let property. So what's happened is I think the demand is going to go up and I think the supply, I know the supply is less because I've seen loads of people's stories that they've stopped, they've closed down their serviced apartments, they've closed down their little hotel businesses because of COVID-19. So listen, this is basic business math right now, okay? If the demand is gonna go up and the supply is going to go less, what does that mean? Well, it's actually going to be really good for serviced accommodation providers because it's going to mean that you get more bookings. It's going to mean that because there's more demand and less supply, you're going to be able to charge more. So I think serviced accommodation from 4th of July, I think it's going to be really, really popular. I'm really excited. My advice from a couple months ago, I said this. I said, look, if you can't afford to continue, if you've got a rent to serviced accommodation and you're paying the landlord a monthly rent and you haven't got bookings, and you're really struggling, worst case, hand the keys back. But try and hold it out. And loads of my students switched their serviced accommodations, not back to buy-to-lets, but switched it around, switched it up. And instead of advertising on Booking.com and Airbnb and these places because they were blocked, they started just getting key workers and putting nurses and NHS staff and people in their properties, and they advertised themselves on social media, Facebook, even on Gumtree. So a lot of my students have done quite well with serviced accommodation, which you'll be hearing about on Winners on a Wednesday. Those that handed the keys back, here's my advice to you. You need to go and find those landlords that have had their keys handed back and are like, oh no. Okay, they've just had their keys handed back from rent to serviced accommodation entrepreneurs, and you need to go to them right now and say, I'll take your keys back. Let's get a new contract. Let's fix a new contract. And you need to go and find those landlords. Because I tell you what, there's absolutely hundreds of them, not just in the UK, all across the world, in America, Australia, all over Europe. You don't have to you can literally rent a property and then you can then put that property on Airbnb. You can treat it as a hotel. You're going to be paying the landlord a small amount and you're going to be getting a very, very high profit as long as it's done in the right way with the right house. So I really am excited to see more people become financially free through serviced accommodation strategy. There is a little bit to it. It's not as simple as just renting a property and sticking it on Airbnb. You need to make sure you've got the correct management agreements. You need to make sure that you've got, if there's a head lease restricting it, you need to check that out. You need to make sure that there's not any mortgage restrictions. So there are things you need to look at. You also need to make sure that the demand is there because this doesn't just work for any house in any area. It has to be in an area which is close by to jobs and people and shops. So I have decided to run a webinar where I'm going to be teaching the in-depth strategies of serviced accommodation. And if you'd like to do this strategy, if you want this to be your year, if you want to get some cash flow, I'd really suggest you come on the webinar. It's going to be some advanced training for 1 hour with me. Where I'm going to be going through all the ins and outs of serviced accommodation and I'll be answering your questions on the webinar as well. The webinar is going to be live, and in the link in the description, I'll leave a little link where you can click on it, you can book on it for free. Wait for the webinar, make sure you turn up to the webinar, and it's going to be absolutely fantastic. This is going to be your year. This is the opportunity for financial freedom. And thank you for watching. Subscribe, smash the like button, drop a comment in, but don't forget, register for the webinar. It's free. I'll see you there.